Hello and welcome to India Ideas, the show where we talk about science and tech, R&D, innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm Gautam Roy, and we're looking at the deep tech sector again today because there's a concerted effort, a push to make India the next deep tech global hub. The number of startups adapting deep tech in 2020 in India went up to 2,100 from 1,600 the previous year. And a NASSCOM Zinov study or survey says deep tech will continue to grow at 40 to 45% CAGR in 2021, which is the current year as well. Now, what does this mean for our country? Let's find that out. We have with us today Himanshu Sharma, co-founder Devanagari, which is an AI-powered human translation platform to help businesses reach 1 billion plus Indian internet users in their regional languages. We've got Nitesh Jangir, co-founders Koyo Labs, which is a medical device company solving unmet needs in the field of emergency and critical care using deep tech. They have two products currently in the respiratory and critical care zone. We'll have Nitesh talk about it as well with us. And we've got Rupak Agarwal, founder and CEO, eViewMe Selection Robot, which is helping businesses to source, interview, assess, and rank candidates automatically using AI-powered human-looking 3D robot. So that's where the 3D comes in. But first, to you, Himanshu, if I could ask you, you're talking about a combination of neural machine translation with machine learning and a community to power translations. Now, how does your company actually do that? And what is the entire goal here?
I just take you a little back. And I just want to tell you that India has a digital ecosystem that includes close to 1 billion people created at a scale unparalleled anywhere in the world. But here's the catch. We have 10% of people in India who understand English. And we have 99.9% of content on internet in English. That means we have 1 billion plus people in India who will be coming on internet first time, but they don't understand the language. So this shows a huge gap in our digital language ecosystem and where we are in need to reach the last mile and the last consumer of the internet in our own languages so that they can harness the power of internet. So Devanagari roles is to help businesses localize at scale. So Devanagari combines a neural machine translation engine with machine learning and a community to power translations. So our AI and human solution is delivering enterprise business translation at scale. If I say we are organizing how the translation industry works, our technological focus is we are making translation efficient by deploying our own NLP algorithms, which we call Vani. And our ML algorithm learns every time our translator review and add context. That means it can become better over time. If we talk about right now, we do have a machine translation engine in 14 Indian languages. So you can real-time translate it, and we are getting an accuracy of 80 to 85%. With adding a human layer to it, it can reach up to 99%. Wonderful. And by the time we can reach and we can improve our engines so that we can reach up to 95%. So this is our goal, wherein we want to convert all the internet data in Indian languages so that everyone can harness the power of internet in their own language. That is our vision.
Wonderful. Nitesh, where you guys come in must have been pretty useful in the COVID phase as well, because there was a huge unmet medical need, and that's what you sort of set out to solve as well, both for infants and for people who were suffering very badly due to various respiratory issues.
Yeah, I think we started around 5 years back, and it's a industry which almost doesn't exist in India. We import almost 75% of our medical devices, and all of these devices are not designed for Indian settings. We have different infrastructure, we have different anatomy. So because we don't have much option, we have to use those devices and then carry away with inferior clinical outcomes. So that's why we started this journey of Koyo Labs, where me and my partners, all of us, spent almost around 3 months in a hospital, day in, day out, to understand what are the problems they are actually facing. So instead of going and asking doctors what to solve or what device you want, we went and we saw the clinical outcomes only. We were asking why this patient's lost his limb. We didn't ask that why your ECG machine is not working, because that's something can be solvable. And that's how we got almost around 120 problems. And then After analyzing them, we picked two problems to solve. One thing we always had in our mind, that whatever the problem we would solve should have immediate impact, and respiratory care is one of them. That if you bring in a solution, you will save somebody's life immediately. So one case, I'll just tell you in brief, which I still remember. In hospital, which has neonatal ICUs, they almost 80 to 90% of their patients come from outside. In India, we lose almost around 1.5 lakhs newborns just because we cannot provide them breathing support on time at a place where they are born. And this problem is that even after spending so much money, there are no equipments which can fit into a primary healthcare centers, because existing solutions always designed for American settings or European settings, where assumption is that all high risk.
Also.
Yeah, I think expense is secondary thing, what I realized, because even after paying, you are not getting something which can work.
Okay.
So because the existing devices require compressed gas, compressed oxygen, continuous electricity, cannot be used in transport. They require really specialist clinicians to use those devices. And when we looked at this problem, and we realized that this is an tech problem which we can easily solve. So it took us around 5 years. We developed this device. We gave it a name called SANS, which is world's only neonatal CPAP or respiratory support equipment, which can work without electricity, which can work without a trained person, which can work in hospital and in transport. And for us, transport means I'm talking about auto rickshaws or even the bikes. It's just 4 kilogram handy device, doesn't require any supporting infrastructure to work. This device right now has been sold across India, as well as now we are entering into African markets. It has saved more than 3,000 lives. This is what the data we have, but from many places we don't have data, and people are keep on using this device to save many babies. So this is one of our innovation which we are developed and deployed across India.
Wonderful. That sounds great. And Rupak, tell us about eViewMe selection robot as well, because I believe it is, well, there's two ways to look at it. One, making the job of recruiters easier, or two, making them redundant.
Well, I would say that it's a robot which is an assistant to a recruiter, because getting people with the right set of abilities, the right set of potential, and that too very, very quickly, so that business does not suffer, has been a perennial problem for ages together. What we are only trying to do is, can our robot assistant help our recruiter to do away with the mundane tasks, empower them with enough data points to take the right decision, and bring in all the necessary human touch to make sure that you hire your candidates not only faster, but get in the best candidates, because you have huge amount of data points available to aid you in the decision making. Because selection of a human being is both an art and a science. And where we are helping is bringing in the deep science, helping you figure out the right set of competencies for each particular role, and therefore giving you lots of data points for various stakeholders in the organization to take their right recruitment decision.
Okay. But won't your tech have applications in other spheres as well, apart from recruitment?
Yes,
where
apart
any
from
sort of an interface is concerned, which is not physical, right, face to face.
That's right. So that's why it's called selection robot, which means anywhere you need to select someone is where it comes in. It's also used, for example, in marketing campaigns. So you have various people wanting to know more about your product. Our robot interacts with those customers, asks them a few set of questions, and therefore helps a human marketer decide whether they should put a human effort behind that customer or not. It's used in product and process trainings across the country. And that's been a huge pain for trainers to try and bring out something which is interactive, at the same time virtual, and giving that flexibility to the candidate to get trained. So it serves multiple purposes. It helps campuses in placements. So the placement and placement heads at campuses really love us, because we not only help them train their students better with lots of mock interviews, because I believe you can not teach someone, for example, how to go and swim. Until and unless you dive into the pool, you will never learn how to swim.
Naturally.
Similar is the case with interviewing skills. How to communicate your point of view to your interviewer is something you can only develop by lots of mock practice. And that's where we seamlessly help do those mock interviews, give a one-to-one specific feedback to each candidate, which is not possible in a traditional method.
Right. Now, why I asked Rupak about, this as to how many ways can the same tech be applied, Himanshu, is because one parameter to really understand what deep tech is about and its uses is to figure out, what kind of use cases can that one particular tech or, a constellation of techs be applied to, X number of use cases. And perhaps yours also fits into that category because the applications could be limitless where you're concerned.
Yeah, this is very true. If we talk, we speak language, and language is a means of communication. So people who don't understand the language cannot communicate. And in India, if we see 50% of people are drop out from their primary schools. So they live with their basic native language. And now they have to come to internet, and they have to grow like they want to read Barack Obama, or they want to understand that what Sachin Tendulkar is saying on his speech in English. How to grow? Those all people need the language which they understand. So we have tech which can be placed into any system, and we can translate on real time into Indian languages, and vice versa as well. So if you are a Telugu speaking person and you want to translate it into Tamil, we can do it on the fly and provide that text into Tamil. So in future, which I see, if we are giving you this interview in English, and if a reader want to see it in Hindi, they can do that. I think that is the possibility which we have in Indian digital ecosystem, where everybody have that right to serve internet content in their own language. This is what the bigger goal is.
Okay. And what about you, Nitesh, in terms of the way that your tech, the one that you have evolved, you've taken 5 years to do it, unmet medical needs in both critical care and even otherwise. I'm sure you would be looking at how you can scale up through A, growing your market, and B, to have more applications for the same technology.
Yeah, I think COVID was perfect time to show that knowledge which we built up from last 4 years. Everybody, COVID infection is respiratory infection. People were ending up into breathlessness. Their oxygen saturation was coming down, and we knew how to fix this issue. And we worked with doctors. So first doctor told to us, we don't want ventilators. They said ventilator is the last thing we want. We want to make sure that patients do not go to ventilator. Okay. And that you see in COVID, the death rate of patients who are on ventilator is close to 90%. So, and that time everybody else was building ventilator in my community. So we didn't build ventilator. What we built non-invasive ventilation machine, which will ensure without putting a tube inside the patient, without sedating the patient, make sure that oxygen saturation levels are perfectly fine. So we named this device SARS Pro because it was an evolvement of my existing neonatal device. So we made it to more suitable for COVID patients, specifically adult patients. And now we have more than 400 installations for this device. Again, this solution have impacted more than 5,000 lives of COVID. And even now, when surge is happening, we are again getting more and more requests from doctors to deploy more of those devices, or even providing training to those doctors. Because another advantage, what we understood, because we work in field, we don't work in a lab in US. We know in India which sensors does not work, what kind of maintenance these equipments require, what kind of supporting staff we have to be put in. So it's not just technology alone, but it's the whole ecosystem which enables clinicians to use these new devices. So this whole knowledge which we have built up, dealing with critical care and ICU and respiratory, that we are taking up across multiple problems we are seeing it.
Great, wonderful. And in a way, another parameter for deep tech and revealing how critical it is, it's almost like a strategic, imperative to pursue this end of making India a deep tech hub is, I guess, Rupak, the way deep tech has proven how useful it is and has been in this critical COVID phase. Even your own tech and product, I believe, the use of it, the clients that you've got has really accelerated, exploded through this period 2020 and beyond.
Absolutely, Gautam. So I think the pace of digitization has virtually moved up multiple times in the last 1 year. CEOs which probably were having a target of a certain level of digitization over the next 10 years would probably have become would be completing that, say, in the next about 18 months to 24 months time. So that's where I think COVID has really played a role in accelerating digitization and adoption of deep technologies into various organizations. We have seen lots and lots of people who have come back to us and said, we are looking at something which has predictive abilities, something that can help us decide on our selection decisions with lots of data points. And that's where I think, while it may still be, I would say, just the tip of the iceberg today, but this is bound to happen. The world is not far away when all of us will be managing both humans and robots in our lives. And AI and machine learning is the way to go. We will look at predictability through big data in every aspects of our life going forward.
Certainly. And very quickly, if you could tell us what has this phase done for your business in terms of any numbers you'd like to share?
Well, this phase has been really good for us from two perspectives. One, when the lockdown initially happened and recruitment was virtually at a standstill, we it was like a boon for us. We utilized that time to develop new products, which, as the market started opening up, has become a talk of the town. So it helps recruiters very quickly do initial level of shortlisting of candidates before moving on to our robot video round product, which was in existence earlier. So it's become a complete end-to-end solution from a recruiter's point of view for us. And that's because we had this great opportunity in the last 1 year.
Right. Now, Himanshu, just help us understand, why is pursuing this deep tech, goal of becoming a major hub, leading deep tech country really is very critical to where we want to be in the coming years and decades as a nation, and also, for the progress of our own society, because we are a very populous nation, very large nation that has its own challenges. And to what extent can deep tech really go in, sorting out those challenges?
I think the future will be AI plus human. So where we will increase our efficiency using machines, and we can use the effectiveness of a human and challenge that machine and make them learn constantly. So the work which we are doing repetitively will be shifted to machine, and the work of thinking, taking new advantages, thinking creative, right, will come to us. That means you can spend more time on productive things rather than doing repetitive things. If I see, if I break my day, 40% of time I spend on those repetitive tasks.
Okay.
Which we can remove, and we can do it on some other productive things. If we use machine, there's emailing machine which can give a reply directly to a client, so I don't need to be reading emails on those stuff. So those kind of things, if we can do, so that will be very beneficial for everybody, and we will get much more time to spend on families, to spend on our relation, to spend on productivity, rather than doing the same work again and again.
Certainly.
And even people out in India, so we have a major workforce, right? So if we can train them using those machines, we can create a huge employment here in India, and we can create a wave where we can increase our business, we can increase grow, the evolve and innovate the digital economy of India. This is
Yes.
what I see.
Okay, Nitesh, just tell us in terms of how this entire goal of making India the next Deeptech hub is being pursued. It's the entire ecosystem which has to do it. It has to be government, it has to be other institutions, industry bodies like TASCOM as well. So, to what extent do you think this work is going? The government has done a lot of policy decisions in favor of startups. But do you think specifically for deep tech sector, are these efforts really working the way they should?
Yeah, I think many of these efforts are working. For example, most of my research and development has been funded by Department of Biotechnology, government of India, and the amount of funding is in crores. So it's not just any small amount they have supported us. The another support now what we are thinking is really needed is a promotion for people who are purchasing services from these deep tech companies, because many times we have to compete globally, and globally at many times, for example, as a medical device company, I have to compete with Chinese manufacturers. They'll have low quality product, but then the prices are really low because their volumes are high. They are selling across the globe. They are producing hundreds of thousands of devices, where I'll be producing couple of thousand. So my production cost would be higher.
Okay.
So, but then many processes are just like tenders and other things are just related to the pricing. Not many of those does not go for quality and other parameters. So if we get a chance that even at a priority, say, even if these guys are charging a bit higher, but say 20% of this tender has to be bought from an Indian startup,
Right.
which into this industry. So this will make us to go to that level where we start producing those hundreds of thousands, or in that volume once we start operating. So we become really cost competitive for across the globe. Because when we are going ahead in this path, we have to understand other countries are also looking into this scenario. They are also looking into, for example, China is investing more than $1 trillion into their deep tech industry.
Yes.
And,
Well, Atmanirbhar Bharat has been to some extent about this as well. But Rupak, apart from this particular challenge that has been mentioned by Nitesh, the other thing that is considered to be challenging, especially for deep tech startups, is one is adaptation, which is not as much a challenge now as it was maybe 2-3 years ago before COVID came. The other is looking for people to fund deep tech itself, because it has longer gestation period. So what do you think needs to be done over there? Because we do have a problem where we have a lot of investors coming in, VCs coming in from abroad, some kind of neo-imperialism, colonialism going on over there, digital colonialism it's talked about, and not enough investors from within the country.
Well, what you're saying is right, Gautam. Deep tech products or deep tech companies have a much higher gestation period. What investors look for is, say, a minimum viable product. They are looking at a certain revenue traction, which in the case of a deep tech company takes much longer to come. And many a times, many of the investors do not really understand how this deep technology is going to add value and create the kind of traction that they are looking at from a perspective of quick returns. So I think more of education by bodies like NASCOM and other industry bodies, which is already happening, acceleration of that will bring in that change of mindset to my mind. At the same time, I think there is a whole lot of effort that is required in terms of churning out quality talent which can take on the mandate of deep tech companies. We have huge talent gap in this area.
Okay.
While lots of engineering colleges, etc., are taking efforts in this direction, AICTE is mandating an AI internship for all engineering students. I think those are things which over the next few years, once these become institutionalized, will bring in a huge revolution in the country.
Okay. And by when do you think we'll have the country's first deep tech unicorn or a decacorn?
Well, I would say it should not be more than 5 years from now.
5 years from now. And what is your take on that, Himanshu?
I think not more than 2 years. So
2
the
years.
speed, the way we are increasing in digital, it not more than 2 years.
And Nitesh, final word to you. How long do you think we will have, a huge, but पहला तो बहुत ही जल्दी होना चाहिए, but we'll have a good constellation of, unicorns and decacorns from the deep tech space.
Yeah, I think I would say Razorpay is almost on the way to become a unicorn, and we'll have similar digital companies. But I would say in manufacturing industry like mine, which involve all kind of deep tech, either it is AI, machine learning. Even many times we don't talk about deep tech, which is into material sciences or hardcore biotechnology. We always assume deep tech is only AI and or in the software side, but the hardcore hardware and material science side, it would take some time. I think it might easily take more around 7 to 8 years for a company to reach there. But that's into the industry I am into. The AI and the hardcore software industry, deep tech companies. I would say within a year we will have multiple unicorns.
Great. That sounds great. It's just a question of time then, short or long, but India will certainly be a global deep tech hub. That's what this conversation really tells us. And thank you so much for having it with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.